Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am trying to see if the audio is a little bit better. I apologize for the first video, and hopefully it has gotten better. If not, I will make sure that I am continually speaking so that we can keep moving forward. And anything that's read, I'll just let it read and then I'll give a summary. Okay, make sure you're taking notes as we go. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the, oh, it snuck away on me. Hold on, let me get my pointer. Just like in class, right? It gets away from me a little bit. Okay, okay. So this is the multiplication property of equality. This is saying that whenever you multiply to one side, you need to multiply to the other side. So if I'm multiplying by a 4 on this side, I must multiply by a 4 on this side. I do want to clear up a quick little thing in case you didn't see it. 10 halves is being multiplied by 4 over 1. Remember, when we place a number over 1, we don't really change the value, but it helps those lined up so that you know that you have 40 over 2, which is going to reduce to 20. So that's where they got that 20. Now over here, as you're saying, if you're multiplying the value of C to one side, you must multiply the value of C to the other side. Again, please don't allow the letters or the variables to confuse you. You know how to do it over here. You're just substituting the letters in at that point. Okay, let's go ahead and watch the second piece of this video. Sorry about that. I forgot I had done that. Okay, now. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, when they talk non-zero, they mean no zero in the denominator because we don't have 5 out of 0 pieces. So we don't work that way. So we're talking 0 in the denominator. 0 could be in the numerator, but not in the denominator. That's what they mean by non-zeros. Okay, so over here you see they divided by a -2, and that they did to one side, they did to the other, they were equal. Over here, dividing by a C, dividing by a C, they were just equal. Whatever you do on one side, you must do to the other, just to be equal. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if I can manage to write on the board when I don't mean to. And go to our part 2 where we get to practice this. If you need to pause at any point to capture something, make sure you do. Okay, so we're solving each equation and then we're going to check our answers. What I'm asking you here first is, what operation are we doing? We're dividing. So how do I undo division? I multiply. And I'm just going to use an M for multiply because it's a little painful for me to write. And also over here, I have -2 times P equals 1. Well, how do I undo this here? Because remember, I want to get the variable, the letter by itself. By multiplying, I undo it by dividing. Correct. Excellent. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and pause and see if you can work this on your own, and then come back and check out the solution and see how you've done. Oops, 1 second. Thank you for coming back. I'm pulling up the solution for you. And so we see in the first one with D divided by -5 equals 7.2, we take the denominator, and that is what we're going to use to multiply by. because I want to get the d by itself, so I need to get rid of that. So negative 5 times both sides, and I'm going to get d equals negative 36. Here's one of the most important things, though. I'm not done. I need to check it. Does it make sense? So wherever I see d, I put in negative 36. So negative 36 divided by 5, does it in fact equal 7.2? Well, if I put in a calculator, yes. But let me do some quick checks just to make sure. So I have two negatives. Two negatives will always give me a positive. So that checked. And then an approximate value of 36 divided by 5 is 7. This is a little bit more, so my answer should be a little bit more. Remember, I'm always worried that we're making sure our answers seem reasonable. So always checking mentally as well as physically is going to be a great thing to get in a habit of. Okay, so the second one, negative 2 times p equals 1. You're going to divide both sides by negative 2 because we're trying to get p by itself. Well, 2 over 2, whether it's negative 2 over negative 2, is going to become 1, so that's 1p. And then on 1 divided by a negative 2 is the same as negative 1 half. We're going to check that, so whenever I see a p, I put in negative 1 half. Negative times a negative, got a positive, and then I get negative 2 over negative 2, which in fact is 1. So hopefully you had no problems with that. Let's try the next. Okay, so we need to solve this equation. What are we doing? What happens here? That's right, it is being divided. So I need to do what to undo it? Opposite or inverse operation? That's right, it's going to be multiply. So my question is, if I'm multiplying, but what am I going to multiply by? You're right, I'm going to multiply by 0.5 to both sides. And let me write this real quick. And then you're going to do the math and then double check to see if your math came out correctly. So basically all we're doing is we need to undo. So this, we do the opposite, so we're going to multiply. And we do one, we do the other. Go ahead and pause while you do the math. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you should have gotten m equals 5.5. Then hopefully you didn't forget the most important part, and that is the checking part, where you plug in 5.5 wherever you see an m. Okay, so let's go on to the next one, because I know that you have lots of math you still want to do. Oh, and I didn't erase it, so look what happens when that comes up. Okay.
Let's play. One of these things is not like the others. For each screen, three statements have the same solution. Cross out the one statement that has a different solution. Let's see what's behind the first curtain.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, behind this curtain we have four solutions, which only three of them have the same value. So what we need to do is first figure out what do I need to do to undo it. So for the first one, I am multiplying, that is correct. So I'm going to divide. And what number am I going to divide by? I'm going to divide by the 12. So both sides are going to be divided by 12. The next one, what is operations happening here? What sign do you see there? You see subtraction or a negative, right? So I need a positive or adding. Because remember, adding a negative is the same as subtracting a negative. That's why that's different. Subtracting a negative becomes a positive. Adding a negative as far as 5 plus a negative 3 is going to give you 2. 5 minus 3 will give you a 2. So please don't get hung up. If you see a minus sign here, you know that to undo it, you need a positive sign. Then we have n divided by 1.25. So it does division. That's correct. Multiplication. And what am I going to multiply by? I'm going to multiply 1.25 to both sides, making sure that I multiply it up here and to the 4. Okay, now ladies and gentlemen, what sign do I have here? I have a positive. So what do I need to see? I need to see a negative, or if I think of this as adding, I need to subtract. Go ahead and work the calculations and then come back and check your answers. Okay, so did you get n equals 5 for the first one? And the second one, double check to see, did you do the right things? Were you dividing by 12? Were you adding by 3 and 3/4 where you needed to? Let's go to the next, and we have n equals negative, I'm sorry, positive 5. So they multiply by 1.25 so that they, on both sides, so they could get n by itself. And then over here we ended up with a negative 5. So that one is the one that's out. So hopefully you found those same answers. Please take the time to review this section if you need to double check your work to make sure that you're doing it correctly and are following the steps correctly. We have one more carton to look at, so let's go and listen. Hopefully you can hear them.
Now we're going to see what challenges behind curtain two.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I hit a button. Let's go back.
Alright, now we're going to see what challenges behind curtain two. Remember, three of the statements have the same solution. Cross out the one statement that has a different solution. Let's play. One of these things is not like the others.
So, ladies and gentlemen, which one of these things is not like the others? So, what we need to go through is you need to determine are you going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide to undo those. I helped you with the first one, so I want you trying this completely on your own. So please pause while you copy this into your notes and you work each problem. When you come back, the solution page will be pulled up for your review to see if your mathematics is correct. I will give you a hint that your answers might need to be placed into the same format, meaning all all decimals or all fractions. Okay, thank you for coming back. So if we look at the first one, when you saw that this was adding a half, hopefully you realized you needed to take away a half. So when you did that, you got W equals 1/4. 1/4 does simplify to 0.25. Then over on this one, when you were working, hopefully you saw that you're multiplying 14 to W, and you need to get W by itself, so you need to divide by 14, and when you do so, you get 0.25 equals W. Looks like 0.25 just might be our special answer, or 1/4, however you want to look at that. Let's see the next one. So now I have W minus 0.75. So if I have a minus here, I need to have an add to undo it. When I do that, I end up with W equals negative 0.25. Ooh, that should be the one that's out, but we're not done. We need to still check to make sure they didn't try tricking us and giving us two that were bad. So 5 times W equals 1 and 1/4 times a multiply. We're going to undo it with division. So 5 divided by 5 is W. 5 and over 4 divided by 5. Remember, we can do the keep it, switch it, flip it so that we don't really have to divide by 5 because that can make it a little messy. So we get 5W over 5 equals 5/4. Keeping that, switching to multiplication, and then flipping 1/5. And when I do that, I get 5W over 5, or 1 over 1W. And then I can see that these are going to simplify. I could do some pre-simplify. If you didn't do that, that's totally fine. If you got 5 over 20, you would have known that you can simplify that to 1/4. Now let's think about the answers we've gotten. 1/4 and 0.25. Are those truly the same? What is 1/4 of a dollar? It is 25 cents, so it is correct. I always recommend that you know to think about it in money, especially when you're talking quarters, because we all know there's 4 quarters in a dollar, so we know there's 8 and 2, and we can easily do that. This is the end of this, so hopefully you'll find that doing homework 8.1 is very easy for you. But any questions you do have, please make sure that you post on Schoology for classmates to help you, as well as bring them to class for me and your classmates to assist you. Thank you very much.